Hi everyone, welcome to Cancer Cooks. Really hope you're well. Today we're going to make a really yummy cauliflower cheese, which we're going to make for a friend. And it's a friend that's been complaining about food not having much flavour. So we're going to do the usual things to try and boost the flavour profile of this food. So the first thing I'm going to do is with the cauliflower, rather than blanching it as you would normally do, I'm going to roast it, which is going to really intensify its flavour. So I'm just going to take away my stalk, going to break it down into florets, put it in this baking tray. And then it's going to go into the oven for 15 minutes at 180. So I'm just cutting it into manageable sized chunks. I don't want them to be too small. Take some rapeseed oil, good drizzle over, and then some black pepper, and some salt. And then while that's in the oven, we're just going to make a sauce for that. So we're just going to make up a really simple white cheese sauce. I'm going to take 50 grams of butter, melt it in the pan, once it's melted, then I'm going to add my flour, cook that off, and then add my milk, bring it up to a heat, and then add the cheese. And the difference with this, or the reason that we're going to punch in some real flavour, is we're going to use a mixture of 3 different cheeses. We're going to use a vintage cheddar, we're going to use a Stilton, and a Parmesan. And that combination of those 3 slightly different flavours of them, all very strong, all loads of umami, it's going to give this cauliflower cheese the real hit of flavour that Audrey needs. So in terms of quantities, I'm going to use 100 grams of each. So that's about a quarter of that, half of that, and half of that. Now the Parmesan's not going into the sauce. The Parmesan's to keep to go with the cauliflower. It's going to go on the top of the bake. But these 2 are. So I'm going to carry on making this sauce. I'm going to grate my cheese, and I will see you in a few minutes. So I'm just going to add the flour. Now the butter's melted. Cook that off. Then add the milk, then my cheeses, and I'll see you shortly. Hey, so my cheese sauce is thickening up really well. I'm just going to add some mustard to it, some Dijon mustard. I'm going to put in 2 heaped teaspoons, and that's going to give us a real kick. And you don't have to use Dijon, you can use any type of mustard. Whole grain works really well. That smells absolutely amazing. I'm just going to add a little bit of black pepper and a tiny bit of salt. And then I think we're ready to make this up. So the idea for this meal is for Audrey to be able to have something on the days that she gets in from chemo, or the 4 or 5 days afterwards where she really doesn't feel like cooking. So rather than bake this as one big dish, I'm going to break it down into these smaller takeaway tins, and these are just from Wilkinson's. They're so great, and so that things remain as fresh as possible. this is kind of half done now, so she's basically going to have to finish it at home herself. So I'm just going to put the cauliflower in, split it up, see how many portions I get, and just with your portion size, maybe just be a little bit careful, because you find with a reduced appetite, you know, rather than wasting food and doing great big portions, just split it up into smaller, more almost sort of side dishes really, rather than what you would have as a main meal. We'll put you in there, you in there. There, they're about equal. Then I've pre-grated my parmesan, and I'm going to use half of the parmesan to go onto the cauliflower now. The other half I'm going to turn into a topping, so just a sprinkle of parmesan over. And this saltiness of this parmesan's really going to give you that flavour hit. Now the rest of the parmesan, I'm going to mix it with some breadcrumbs, and that's going to form my topping. And then my cheese sauce is ready. And I mean, you can just smell the calories on this. So this one is a great one for making sure that you up your calorie content. So I'm just going to distribute this between the 5. And actually I just thought a good thing to add to this, if you did want to bulk this up into a slightly larger meal, if you had the appetite for it, then throw in a few roast potatoes. Sorry, not roast potatoes. If you just part-boiled some potatoes, some new potatoes, these would work really well with that. In fact, actually I might do that, because I've got loads of sauce here. So that's my sauce all distributed. And then my topping goes over. And there we go. Cauliflower cheese, plenty of flavour, loads of calories, perfect for making in advance, splitting up and putting into the freezer. And I would say if you were cooking this from the freezer, 180 degrees for 25 minutes. If you were doing it from the fridge, 15 minutes, and that will be done. Alright, take care of each other. Bye.